So now I am excited to welcome our first guests. I'll be turning things over to Deborah Quazzo. She, as you know, is the co-founder and managing partner of GSV Ventures, and also the mother of 3 amazing children, the youngest one especially. And joining her on stage, we have Chip Paucek, who is the co-founder and CEO of 2U. And we have Anant Agarwal, who is the founder and CEO of Edtech. And they're going to be having a conversation on the future of online education. So join me in welcoming Deborah, Chip, and Anant.
I love that self-promotion by my precious son, Chris. So I'm glad I had him do the MC. It is my incredible pleasure to welcome to the stage this morning Chip Paucek, co-founder and CEO of 2U, and Anant Agarwal, the founder and CEO of Edtech. What's incredibly cool, and we were actually talking about it a little bit backstage, they gave me the label of the matchmaker, which I was very flattered by. This is actually the second time I've been on stage with Chip, where he was announcing a partnership and acquisition, in that case, with a company, which was Trilogy Education, that you also met at ASU+GSV, yep. Which is pretty cool. And because Anant and Chip actually first met at ASU+GSV in 2013 when we were still at the Phoenician. You are our global poster child for the strength of the ASU+GSV convening, so we love that.
It's all true.
We're going to put you on the road. It's awesome. So roughly 6 weeks ago, as most of you know, 2U and Edtech announced their plans to join together, with 2U acquiring Edtech's assets and leaving a not-for-profit that will continue under the leadership of founders MIT and Harvard. You two have called this an industry-defining combination that will usher in a new era of online learning. I'll confess, I immediately bought stock in 2U as soon as you guys announced it.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you.
and there are lots of opinions out there about the announcement. So if we can just start with each of you. Why is this potential combination a game changer, and why now?
You want to go first? You go.
Sure. So, I'll start with why this is a game changer. If you look at, as we partner with universities and all over the world, we have 170 just spectacular partners, universities and companies. They are looking for partners that can give them the entire suite of services, all the way from, and products, all the way from MOOCs to exec ed, to boot camps, to degrees, the scalable, low-cost degrees like edX. And I think what the partnership gives you is this incredible strategic fit, where edX had the MOOCs all the way to stackable credentials and the low-cost scalable degrees, and then 2U brings in exec ed, boot camps. And so the fit is just incredible. And in terms of why now, I think if you look at what COVID did, COVID just was such a boon to our industry in the sense of bringing in just large number of learners. It was terrible for the world, of course, but everybody went online, and we were able to bring in 10, 15 million new learners last year. They're all looking for new services, and university looking for even more services. So we felt that this was a good time to really take our mission to the next level, and really have a quantum impact on being able to reach our mission. And the mission alignment with 2U was so incredible that we said this is the time to try to achieve that.
What I would add to that is that this story really is about the mission alignment, and that's how it happened, and I think we're going to talk about that. But from free to degree, if you look at the combination of the two companies, you've got 84 partners going to 226. You have over 500 different educational programs. You have the most comprehensive solution for a university that is digitally transforming itself. And with 2% of the world digitized right now in education, as you know, in this conference, it's a huge opportunity. So people are right now pretty captivated with what's going on with Branson and Bezos in terms of the space race. And we've said that we believe that right now the story here is what will become the most important learning platform in the world, and that that the race in this case changes this world. And we really believe that the combination of the two is just unbelievably powerful. So we joked that we were going to do a little karaoke with Sonny and Cher with "I Got You, Babe," because it's just uncanny how the fit works. everything edX brought to the table, including what I would tell you is a true worldwide brand. And I think what people in the industry really haven't understood in this case is that, if anything, everything will become edX.
Yeah,
to be
I would
clear.
say, talk about the brand, right.
So, to you, I'm, incredibly proud of what we built. And, I'm proud of the name. It's, I named it. And, but I would tell you that it is not a consumer name. And edX, what Anant and his team built, you're talking about, a top 1,000 website in the world. You're talking about a brand that really is affiliated with learning on a worldwide basis, to the point where, just one example, in India, almost the same amount of learners and traffic as the United States. And that is not something that 2U built. And so the combination of the two in that case, if you can basically think of 2U as Alphabet, and you can think of edX as Google in our case. And we believe that will be really compelling for the business opportunity, but most importantly for the learners. And our expectation is we will be able to radically scale the learner base. Our partner response has been pretty incredible on both sides. So the opportunity in front of the company now, as we come together, is profound.
Yeah, it's fascinating, because the one thing you weren't, to you, and you were, is what Michael Moe coined the term weapons of mass instruction. And this, overnight, you became a weapon of mass instruction. It's fascinating. Talk a little, we were talking backstage about India and the global opportunity. How does that whole dynamic change? We've got other players coming in from India. It's a fascinatingly dynamic market today globally. So how does that change the whole go-to-market for the company?
Well, the worldwide learner base of both edX and equally interestingly, Open edX,
Yep.
which is definitely part of the story. How many users worldwide Open edX?
In fact, Open edX is the world's largest MOOC platform. There are over 100 million learners learning on edX, so 40 million on edX, and another additional 60 million on Open edX platforms all over the world. So it's just absolutely, entire nations have adopted Open edX, like the nation of Israel, China, Hong Kong, Korea, Russia, and others.
People have not understood this part
talk
either.
about
Nations have adopted that.
talk about where Open edX sits after all.
Well, so we're obviously paying $800 million, as you saw, and so the nonprofit that remains will, over time, continue to contribute to the Open edX platform. We will be the largest producer of code as edX going forward, but we believe in the open source movement, and we do think that that the platform itself will become a bigger part of our story over time. And then as we mentioned, the learner base is just it is truly a worldwide learner base, and we have a super comprehensive set of both products and solutions for the great university. I mean, one of the things that's pretty wild about the combination is we'll have 78% of the top 50 universities in the world. 78%. I mean, it's hard to get to 80% vaccination, right? Like 78% of anything. It's pretty impressive. And the nonprofit university has been at the center of what 2U has done for our entire history. And I do think that was hyper relevant in this case because, it's not obvious to me that there could be a better fit, primarily because of the mission.
No, I think and to your point about international, about 21% of edX's learner base is US, and so nearly 80% is international. India is the second largest learner population, and why this is so exciting is that we have partners from all over the world. We have India's top 2 institutions. IIM Bangalore is India's top business school, and IIT Bombay is India's top university, both edX partners. And what we see is that when people create courses from any university, there's an international audience for it. edX offers everything from courses to scalable degrees, like our extraordinary partnership with UT Austin with the $10,000 data science degree. And enrollments, grow not in tens, but in hundreds and thousands, and very quickly. And a large fraction of learners come in from international audiences, and particularly during these incredible, crazy times where travel is hard, in person is hard. A lot of the online offerings and degrees have become very appealing to international audiences.
And what's interesting, Deborah, is you've known the company since the beginning. And we've evolved substantially over the last half decade from our original roots of master's degrees online, which at the time everybody thought the elite schools will never do this. And we've diversified the company substantially with a large short course business, a large technical boot camp business, and more recently, and this is relevant to what Anant just said, undergraduate programs.
Oh, that was what I was going to ask. Talk about the future of undergraduate online.
I mean, within the next 6 months, our largest degree program at 2U will be our undergraduate program with the London School of Economics. It's all 9 bachelor's programs at LSE, incredible worldwide brand. For the entire 3-year degree is $26,000. And it's a worldwide program, and we think hyper relevant to not just the learner base, but also to one of the things that Anant did is the team built a series of opportunities for people to have a pathway in to a greater experience,
right.
Starting with free, but working its way up to micromasters and microbachelors. And we think that microbachelors, as an example, is a huge opportunity for both our worldwide programs like LSE, because at this stage, 55% of 2U's student body is outside the United States. People, that's not obvious to people anymore. People think of us as the US.
Yep.
And, yesterday we had David Thomas and Lynn Wooten from Morehouse and Simmons here with us. And those are 2 huge opportunities for a really rapidly growing undergraduate business for us. And edX
Yeah, no, it
is
was
super
fascinating.
relevant.
David talked a lot about Morehouse, launching for the first time ever, the online.
3 million black men in the United States with some college credit and haven't completed, and that's a crisis. And we really think with an incredible school like Morehouse, we can move the dial. But coming back to edX, just the opportunity to allow people to have pathways into affordable opportunities to change their lives. And I will tell you that is what is most compelling to both sets of our employees. And one of the joys for us of this whole thing is watching our 2 teams together over the last 48 hours because of COVID. The weird thing is, when I walked into my suite, he was in there. And I got emotional.
You're that close.
I got emotional because I saw him in our 2U suite. I walked in and I got emotional because, honestly, we did this entire thing during
Online,
COVID, and
yeah.
we saw each other 1 time.
That's funny.
So it's been wonderful to see the combination of the people and how clearly the cultures fit together.
And the cultures and missions fit incredibly well.
So do you guys, as you said, Anant, despite the tragic, consequences of COVID, the benefit to the digital learning world has been really just breathtaking. We were even looking at it the other day. M&A activity is up 483% or something in the first half of the year to 15 billion in the education technology sector, which is just which is head spinning fantastic. Do you all have any angst that there is going to be a desire to go back to the way it was, or are you sanguine that we're just marching forward?
Oh, I get asked this question a lot, which is, once everyone gets vaccinated or this tragedy dies down, are we all going to rubber band back to normal? Yeah, we will rubber band back to normal, but it will be a new normal. So at universities, for instance, it's going to be blended learning. Blended learning will be the new normal. We're not rubber banding back to the good old days when there were very few online classes and so on taught to matriculated state students in universities. I expect that over the next 2 or 3 years, we will see roughly 50% online and 50% blended on campuses. And in fact, we saw a huge demand last year for online learning to be brought to campuses. And so edX launched edX Online Campus about a year ago. And we have already 1,000 universities and colleges around the world that are using a free catalog of courses for the matriculated students. And this is not just in the US, it's in India and countries all over the world. And so I think this move to online learning, even with matriculated students, I think it's here to stay. I don't think we're ever going to rubber band back to the old days.
If you think about the conversations we are having at the highest level of the best universities in the world are all about digital transformation. Overnight, it went from nice to have in some cases to a strategic imperative. That is fundamentally permanent in my opinion, permanent. And what you've seen is, Anant just said 1,000 schools using 1,000 universities using edX for Campus to deliver their campus programs. So we sort of joke internally that what he's done as a nonprofit is pretty remarkable. So
Right.
if you look at what edX did in its decade, we followed the journey. We met here, right, and talked for a long time. And then what's interesting is Anant's son interned at 2U.
That was sneaky.
This was 7 or 8 years ago.
It was forever ago, he, so we obviously stayed in touch for that reason. So Akash kind of has some role in
Absolutely.
in this story.
And Akash, my son, who now lives in Baltimore, he's doing product management. He was not aware of the deal at all, and when I told him, it just completely blew his mind. He said, "What?"
What about this combination is controversial?
I mean, we've been doing this a long time, and if you go back to the founding of 2U, there are moments in our history where we understand what controversy can look like at a campus. We understand what controversy can look like in launching a degree program that is, the core of the institution. This has been the 90th percentile of positive. It has been excellent, and we prepared for we prepared for all outcomes. That's our job. And if you compare it to the other 2 acquisitions we did, without question, this was more positive from the standpoint of the partner response.
Well, it was probably more obvious.
Well,
the other 2 probably took some digesting, maybe.
Sure, and we were at a different stage of existence.
Right.
But it's really been fantastic. I mean, the partner base on both sides is excited about what we can do together and what we bring to the table.
No, in fact, a lot of people start off with questions. Say, hey, look, non-profit and for-profit, it's like oil and water. I mean, they don't mix. And so, but it was very easy with 2U, where 2U has agreed legally to legally binding commitments that really embody kind of the core of what edX believes in as a nonprofit. Free audit track in all our courses, that will be continued. Modular innovations in education for low-cost microbachelors. Nazir Menon is here from NYU. There's some incredible microbachelors, and there's a lot of interest in 2U to expand the whole modularity of microbachelors and create pathways into degrees. Universities owning their IP, existing agreements of edX being maintained, really getting behind open source. The list goes on and on. And so, once, and 2U was, agreed to all of that with alacrity. And so we, as we mentioned and explained that to universities, they said, what's not to like? It's like, when you've agreed to all the outcomes of a nonprofit, then, what difference does it make what you are?
One example of that, faculty IP has been
Right.
core to what we've
Right.
done our whole existence. And I would say the mission commitments made this deal. There's no question.
No question at all. And that's the first thing, that's the first thing we agreed on. And what was funny is that if you look at, a lot of people said, oh my God, it must have been really, really hard to agree on the mission commitments. That was the easiest part,
It was the easiest part.
And in fact, it was Chip's idea. When Chip first approached me, a year and change ago, I said, a non-profit, for-profit don't mix. And so Chip said, why don't you write down what it means to you to be a non-profit? And I did. And he said, we believe in all of this stuff. We live it. We'll agree to it. It was just as simple as that. And so to me, that was key. I said, this is our partner.
Well, I mean, we've had this, no labels concept. The point isn't whether you're for-profit or not-for-profit. The point is, are you moving the needle on better learner outcomes at scale?
That's right.
And I love the whole concept and construct. This I assume really opens up the territory for you guys on future product roadmap. So I'm just curious, as you all are obviously students of what makes better learning outcomes. I mean, what's out there in terms of the application of AI, use of AR, VR? I don't know if you got to do the ASU Dreamscape learning experience. How are you all thinking about those?
I can't tell you everything, right? I would say the opportunity to work together to drive an improvement in learning with Open edX is meaningful. We have a lot to do. First of all, we haven't closed this transaction. We have to
Right.
close it. We can plan today, but we have to be smart and careful about until we're closed. Obviously, we'll get into the detail with the edX team. What's amazing about it is it's like a blooming onion of opportunity. It's like you keep pulling it back, and there's more and more. That's an Outback Steakhouse.
You haven't been to Outback lately.
I think it's much more. I can give you specific examples where,
More specific than the blooming onion?
yeah,
Okay.
totally. AI.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I think the key is that for edX, and for all of us, there's so much opportunity in EdTech, particularly in these times. But talking about AI, despite all the opportunity, edX was always strapped for resources as a nonprofit. I like to joke that, we grew to what we were running on fumes. edX took in $80 million and over the past 9 years, and we grew to 40 million learners all over the world. And if you look at a lot of other companies, they've taken in to get to the same point, 4, 5, 10 times the amount of money. So we just ran on fumes, and so we never had any resources. So as an example, we built out a AI grader. And if you go look at the front page of the New York Times from 2013, John Markoff wrote about it. And we had a lot of professors, we prototyped it, we launched it on a number of courses, including a philosophy course out of UT Austin. But we never had the resources to take it to the next level and integrate it deeply into a product. So it's sitting there, it's open source, so it's sitting there, and you can take it and use it, and a lot of others have. But we never really polished it up and used it as a product in a big way. And I was just talking to Marco Morales, who's here, yesterday morning, and I said maybe now is the chance where we will have those extra resources to do the kinds of things we've always wanted to do, because now you will become the world's biggest developer of edX, the edX platform, and the nonprofit will also be using its resources to continue developing the platform. And so I think we will see AI being brought in a much bigger way, and not just AI. I'd say cognitive science-based approaches. My course on edX and circuits already uses the spaced repetition approach, which has its roots in CogSci, but it's only in my course. And a student prototyped it. We'd like to launch spaced repetition into every single course.
Absolutely.
So AI, CogSci, AR, VR, I think you have seen nothing yet. I mean, just wait for the next 1 or 2 or 3 years. It is going to be mind-numbing in terms of what we're going to be.
That was a much better answer than the bloomin' onion.
It was. I think we're in early innings of making this online learning a better and better and better experience.
I think it's not just about access. It's about access and quality. It's quality.
Totally.
It's all about quality at scale, and that's what we want to do.
I mean, if you look at the outcomes associated with the programs, that's what we're most proud of in our history. That's really, you've got...
Give some stats.
Well, so we do annual work with Gallup to sort of validate everything behind the scenes. And the retention rates, I mean, we've driven graduation rate up 10 points in 10 years. Like, you're talking about the number that will define whether the student succeeds. And typically, if somebody goes to the Yale Physician Assistant Program, they not only are immediately sought after by an employer, but they're doing it in their local area where they are going back to someplace in the United States that desperately needs that physician assistant. And an example of an area within edX that we think has huge opportunity is healthcare. Over 50% of our degree business is in disciplines with licensure. One of my standard lines is you don't want to go to the midwife that delivered the virtual baby. Why? Because we have a Georgetown midwifery program. That's one of our programs. And so the opportunity to sort of widen the aperture of what edX is today is part of what we'll bring to the table. The 2U partners, I can tell you, have been pretty thrilled with the opportunity to engage in new, massive open online courses. So we'll have more to say about that over the next 6 months.
And Debbie, certainly the whole issue of outcomes is the key about quality. So if you look at our MicroMasters programs, we survey people that complete them, right after they complete them, 3 months after, and a year after. And what we've seen is that people who earned a MicroMasters credential by passing the program, 3 months after, 91% of them are telling us that they've had a positive career outcome, a pay raise, a new job, or a promotion. 91%. And MicroMasters are about 20 to 30% of the size of a full one-year master's degree. So you can actually get very positive outcomes very quickly.
Cool. One last lightning round question. So I was able to see an article from 2015 in the Financial Times where they had interviewed 2 experts and had them predict the future for 2020, what would happen in online learning. The 2 experts were, of course, you two. You also seem to have a very healthy rivalry going on in that interview, which was is only funny in hindsight. Humorous. Anant did predict that in 2020, 50% of campuses would be in a hybrid mode. Little did you know 100% would be in a fully online mode.
Totally on.
You had a lot of vision on that one. So for the last question, as you guys look out at 2025, which is really just right around the corner, if you had to do a prediction here today for the future of a distinctive thing happening in 2025, what would that be?
2025, I guess I would say.
Maybe we can do 2030.
The world, the notion of, like, today, we don't think about whether we're going online shopping or we're just going shopping.
Right.
And the reality is, education will be the same. I mean, the whole notion of blended and connected, we think of it as less about online and offline and more about blended and connected. It seems pretty obvious to us. So.
Yeah, but for me, it's simple. I have a dream for 2025.
Oh, I love this.
I'm not going to predict whether it'll happen or not, but it's a dream, which is that, today, university education is very stovepipe. Students come in at the bottom, and after 4 or 5 years, if you're lucky, you come out the top. If you fall off anyway in the middle, you're called a dropout. Even if you've learned for a year or 2 years, you're called a dropout. It's just an utterly, absolutely insane, broken system. So instead, using programs like micro-bachelors, can we make education truly modular at universities, where a learner can come in, learn something at a university, get a micro-bachelor's, maybe move on to another university or work for some time, and really build up your education like Lego blocks, modular, stackable education. To me, that's a dream. And if in 2025, it ain't going to happen, maybe 2030, I would like to see a global supply chain of worldwide education.
I love that.
With modular, stackable models.
Love that. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Great to have you guys here.